Well, you've written a piece for, I think, that study China 2020 about
2030, yes.
2030, alternative futures for China. And one of the interesting distinctions I think you drew in that, maybe it was someplace else, was that you have the Chinese Communist Party and you have the Chinese, and those are not necessarily the same thing. And if you had China without the Communist Party, although that's inconceivable to see how that gets rolled back, do you have a different relationship with the China? Is it a party issue, or is it an issue with the Chinese as a people?
It's a bit of both, but I think China as a nation, independent of what sort of a government it has, is still going to have a very traditional view of itself as the Middle Kingdom, which deserves this recognition and have its neighbors accommodate China's wishes. And it needs to see itself as the preeminent power in the Western Pacific, and that the U.S. is going to be pushed out regardless of whether it's a communist or an independent government.
So how is China projecting that power in the Pacific now?
Well, they're doing it certainly economically. They have become part of the TPP. Sadly, the U.S. walked away from that treaty, which gave us just about everything we want in trade policy. And then we just unilaterally said, no, we can't do that. But what it meant is that the United States has now been displaced as the go-to power in economic policy in the Far East. They're doing it militarily. They've had enormous increases in their military capability. In the past, I would have felt very comfortable saying that the United States could knock down, if it ever came to an open conflict, that we could knock down the Chinese military and push ourselves right up to their coast to impose our military will upon them. That's no longer the case. We cannot operate in the South China Sea or the East China Sea in an actual war. We're going to have to stay out of there. We can operate nuclear submarines in there, of course. But my sense is that the Chinese military has now achieved a point where it can deny us access to certain areas within the first island chain. That is, goes from Korea, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, all the way around to Vietnam.
The interesting thing about this, Bill, is that we've known this for a while. It was all made very clear to the Obama administration. The admirals were requesting on a continuing basis that they be permitted to run freedom of navigation exercises, which would have put U.S. warships through the South China Sea and inhibited their efforts to militarize these islands. But those approvals were routinely delayed, often to the point where they never came at all. And so the Chinese had basically a free path to militarizing the islands in the South China Sea. Now, it's not just a military zone we're talking about. The South China Sea is one of the world's premier commercial pathways. It's $5 trillion of goods every year. And it's essential that those sea lanes be kept open and available to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, and so on. The Chinese would like to monitor and control those sea lanes. And I think, you asked what they're doing to assert their position in the South China Sea. One of the things they're trying to do is sever our relations with our principal allies. Japan would be one prime example. And in another sense, they'd like us to be forced into a disadvantageous conflict in Taiwan, which we're concerned about.